Alright, so this is take two. Because Mr. Perry did not like what I said, so he shut off the recording again. You're going to get a tampering with evidence charge for that when my guys do all that, put all the stuff in court. You got like coercion charges, witness tampering charges, perjury, fraud upon the court. You got a grand larceny with intent to coerce, interference with commerce and contracts with intent to coerce, deprivation of food and shelter with human rights violations. I'm going to take her car with intent to coerce. I'm going to have her pulled over with intent to intimidate and coerce. I'm going to false arrest her intending to coerce. On and on. They got a long list of coercion, Mr. Perry. So this is take two. Now, this is evidence for court. This is Cynthia Ortiz. It's the 9th of September, 2023. These are the Charles Perry Stalking podcasts. These are to document my intent. Here's what I'm okay with. Here's what I'm not. Here's what you can do, and here's what you cannot do. You cannot stalk. It's a felony. You cannot traffic me. That comes with a life sentence, sir. And I said no. You cannot peep. You don't get to use my body. No woman would allow that. For your entertainment and your pretend love life and for profit. You don't get to use my body for profit in video or in trafficking. Okay? I said no. Everything after that is coercion, voyeurism. It's rape. Voyeurism is rape. Any woman that would allow you to do that would have some time limits on it and some money. You have to pay for it, and you can only do it during hours X and X. Okay? So I'm doing take two now, Mr. Perry. Cut off the last one. So, anyways, he's a pervert. Fail. So, my guys, if anybody's been paying attention, talked with some other mafia people, Mr. Perry, a little more professional than yours, and not creepster like you. And they were appalled. They could not believe. I mean, gosh, we could, if they're worried about us taking over business, that's not hard. They made themselves weak. I mean, what kind of man humiliates himself like that, and his associates, and his family, doing what he's doing? We're like, we don't know. We don't fucking know. We got a lot of help, though. So you guys mess with my school, and that pissed a lot of people off, so we get information, inside information. We're going to call the guy Vito. That's not his real name, of course, but that's what we're going to call him for the purpose of this. He's like, he's like, you don't want some sensitive information getting into the wrong hands. Mr. Perry doesn't seem to care. He simply doesn't seem to care. This business is very easy to take over, this organization, because of a couple of things. One is that, he's chasing a woman that doesn't like him, and no dignified guy does that. And second of all, he's spending a lot of money to do it, and the only thing that happens is it gets information to the wrong hands. Law enforcement's the wrong hands. Your hands are the wrong hands. So why does he seem so anxious to do that? We're like, we don't know. Spending a lot of money to do it. And when you contact me, we get more information, Mr. Perry. You don't get a cover-up. You don't get a date. You don't get reciprocation. You get told on and told on. And we get information. Information from inside your criminal organization gets to the wrong hands. When you contact me, when you cause a problem for me, when you invade my privacy, when you take my money, you've been told over and over and over and over, get your hands out of my wallet. Get your hands out of my wallet. Get your fucking hands out of my wallet. My granddad was the chief of police in Roswell, as everybody knows, and a dignitary in that small town, and city councilman, and helped get those museums, the alien museums, established and everything. So we had to behave. I remember my mother, my dad, and my grandmother telling me when I was a kid, keep your hands to yourself. If it isn't yours, don't touch it. Keep your hands to yourself. we had manners. I mean, stand up straight. Don't put your elbows on the table. Say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. You know, don't embarrass us. Don't embarrass granddad. Don't embarrass us. Don't behave. You know, we had to be polite. We had to have class, dignity. Put your napkin in your lap. Chew with your mouth closed. All of that stuff. And the big one, keep your hands to yourself. If it isn't yours, keep your hands to yourself. Mr. Perry, if you want to be a dignitary, it's hard to tell. I've never seen such low life in my life. Just low life, low class scum. And even the mafia, a lot of those guys are very high class people. Some of them aren't, but a lot of them are. And I mean, did you watch the movie Casino? There, keep your, have some dignity. Have some dignity. I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't do peep and Tom guy. I don't do cop killer guy. I don't do child rapist guy. I don't do human trafficking guy. I don't do canned food guy under any circumstances, anywhere, ever. And I guess one of my friends was talked to, and she kind of said the same thing. Cindy's not canned food guy. It's not going to happen. I don't care what he says. Charles Perry and I have not been in the same room since 2013. That's my choice. I moved twice to get away from him. I slept in my car and didn't eat and didn't bathe for 6 months because he is was trying to force me by starvation to do what he wants. And my choice was, I'll sleep in my car and I won't eat and I won't bathe. Fuck you. Got it? So my friend is like, okay, here she is. We've known her all her life. We were around her all the time until she moved. She's a professional businesswoman. She's interacting with, I mean, we're the ones she called. Is like, yeah, I met with Harry Reid today, or I met with John Porter today, or John Henson, or whatever. And she's a professional businesswoman and a mother who I saw her fight, give everything she has to fight for what she believed in, what she wanted. If she's fighting against you, she doesn't want you. If you're a canned food guy, that explains that. If you're abusive and you make her sleep in her car, there's no way. There's no fucking way you have any fucking chance at all. And how dare you? So what did he do to her that she went from that to stripper to door dashing? Living in her car, for God's sake. That's not who we know her to be. She's giving up everything and sleeping to not have to be around this guy. And that is appalling. She said, I'll tell you this, she dates Saeed for 4 years. We see them together. We all are hanging out together. And she said, Cindy, Saeed never, ever would have let that happen. And the guy goes, what if it's a bad economy? And she goes, I don't think it's a bad economy. First of all. Second of all, let me repeat myself, kind of. I'm paraphrasing. Saeed never, ever, in a million years, ever would have allowed that to happen. So he starts a business for her. He makes sure she has a job and that she's making money in that job. That's Saeed. Saeed got a real date with her, by the way. Saeed got hang up. I moved to be with Saeed. I moved twice to get away from Charles. You have gone around Oklahoma and told some people that were dating, some people that were engaged, some people that were married, and you're out of your mind. It doesn't get any more John Hinckley Jr. than you. It's sad your mind is that far gone. It's sad that you've become that deranged and that demented and that disturbed. You've told some people she's harassing me, and a guy said, yeah, I don't think so. I think he's full of crap. Here's why. Cynthia moved twice. She went to get away from the harassment. She went home to her family. Charles moves to Oklahoma where she is. They can't get the guy to leave. He won't fucking leave. And so why, if he's really being harassed and he's not the one doing the harassing, then why don't you do what she did and go home to your family away from the harassing? I think you're full of crap, Mr. Perry. That's what the guy said. Because most people would do what she did. If you're in a place where somebody's harassing you, first you could ask them not to, and if they won't, then you leave. But you don't leave your family and you leave your home and go to the harassment, and everyone's begging you to go back home to your family and you won't do it. Supposedly that's where it's safe and you're not harassed. You're full of shit, and your crap is starting to get caught now, isn't it? So here's my friend, like, and the guy, I guess, I don't know who I do know who it was, but I'm not gonna say. He said her family's finally starting to figure out that when Charles ran around saying we went on a date and we were dating, that never happened. He's delusional. I've not been in the same room with Charles since 2013, and the guy was like, 9 years they can't figure out that he was full of shit. Never have they been seen together in 9 years. I've lived in Oklahoma since 2014, right after I sent this email. They've not been seen together in 9 years, and they just now figure out probably he's full of shit. Wow. What took so long? Why did it take... Well, and I guess one of my aunts said, I'm thinking Mr. Perry's full of crap because we're not seeing them together. For one of my aunts and my uncle, with their former spouses before they got divorced and remarried, both of them, came to Vegas and hung out with Saeed and I. Now, the only reason my ex-husband is not in this loop with my family is we're married for 10 years. During that 10 years, I'm in Vegas, I have a business, and trying to raise kids. And so we were limited on our budget because our money was going to the business and to the kids. So we didn't come up here very often. So my family did not see me with my husband much. My granddad did come to Vegas and had dinner with my husband and when I was married, and my children. So we hung out with my granddad, Granddad Ram and Clarence Ram, but we didn't. Some of the other members didn't come up, and during the time I was married, and we didn't come up to Oklahoma. Now, when you're not married, I was not married with kids. I was dating Saeed. That was before, so I didn't have children. We're dating. So he had. Saeed did have a lot more income than my ex-husband, but my ex-husband still did. I never missed a meal. We bought name brand clothes. I mean, we had a nice life. So it's not like this is unusual for a man to want to degrade a woman like that. They've got mommy issues. Mommy humiliated me, so I'm going to take it out on other women. And where's Jacqueline and Jordan and Matthew when you're doing all that to me in Oklahoma? So I guess one of my aunts said, here's the thing. We've not seen them together ever. So, why is he coming around here without her? Saeed never did that. He didn't impose that way, just take it upon himself to come. And then we're not allowed to talk to her. Saeed never did that either. Well, maybe we're not allowed to talk to her because he doesn't want the truth out. We're a couple. We're dating. We say, really? Can we ask her? No, you're not allowed to talk to her. Why? Because we'll find out you're full of shit? Right? Is that how that works? You don't want us to talk to her because we'll find out you're full of shit. There's never been a date. There's never been a date. There won't be a date. Mr. Perry gets anywhere near me, balls are in his brain. Boom, that fast. It'll surprise you. That's my surprise for you, is how fast I can kick your balls up in your brain and your teeth in your attorney's mouth. I don't care where your attorney is, and your teeth will be in his mouth in about 2 seconds. You're never going to touch me. You're not going to touch me. I know you think that there's something there because you're delusional. You have a disease called Huntington's disease. It causes delusion, hallucinations, paranoia, psychosis, and impaired cognitive reasoning. You're not all there. Diagnosed, nuttier than a fruitcake, not all there. Way past a good time for a butterfly net. And your attorney should go to jail because you're a danger to yourself and others. He should go to jail for not doing something about that. There's some legal, or your family. There's some legal requirements when people are around a nutbag and that nutbag becomes dangerous. There's one thing when somebody's got, and I just passed this fucking test. I shouldn't, you're not supposed to call them nutbags and cuckoo bird and all that stuff, but when you're normally I wouldn't, but when you're the victim of the crime, all of a sudden you don't care about the rules anymore. You're not getting peeped on. When you're getting peeped on, when you got somebody making you sleep in your car and all that shit, then you tell me what I could call him. And I guess Mark was all, she's not, she can't just say use allegedly, Okay, listen, Mark, when you're sleeping in your car, when somebody's starving you to death, when somebody's making you feel raped, talk to Michael Neely and John and Lisa, talk to the Miller kids, talk to the kids at the compound, and see if they give two fucks about use allegedly. No, it doesn't matter. Fuck it to the victims, to us, the victims. Your bullshit use allegedly. We're gagging on that. We're fucking gagging on that. Really? Use allegedly? Are you shitting us with that? You shitting us with that, right? We hear it constantly because you're under surveillance all the time with the police and shit. The need to know police. I need to talk to Cindy's supervisor. Did he call you? Yeah. Nope, he's not talking to y'all. He said, I told them, get the fuck out of her life. Get your hands out of her wallet. Don't invade her privacy. Stop stealing from her. She's not to be broke again and have to ask for money. Period. Don't cause any more problems for her. Nothing. Period. So if there's some part of that you can't understand after the first 30 times she's told you we said that, and then we show you when, here, by the way, you didn't listen and it pissed people off, so guess what? We found out she just complained about use allegedly. We found out Charles has Huntington's disease. You're pissing people off. People don't like suffering. They don't like hardship. And I don't know why you guys can't get that as many times as we said it. And here's the funny thing. Most people just know. They don't have to be told. They don't have to be told even once. Much less over and over and over and over. Watch the news. You see the Derek Chauvin thing. You see the Hurricane Katrina. You see shootings and crap. What did Mayor Biden say when we had the Tulsa shooting at St. Francis? My office is getting calls. People want to know what they can do to help. What can we do to help to end the suffering? If you've got some sort of psychotic, sociopathic, sadistic mental problem that you can't understand that, when we quote you, now it's your problem. Okay? Charles, what do you think we're going to do with all that? Do you think we're just using it as part? I mean, we've told you what we're going to do with it. We all want to know in your strange old mind what you think we're going to do with it. So the Mafia guy's like, first of all, I'm a professional businessman. I bet the guy said that about 4 times. It was important for him to get across to us, I'm not like them. I'm a professional businessman. I don't spend money that results in very sensitive information getting into the wrong hands repeatedly. If that happened once, first of all, I'd back off of whoever it is and then try to figure out what's going on before I just continue to do the same thing. That the next thing I know, sensitive information is getting into the wrong hands. I sure as shit wouldn't spend money doing it. So their balance sheet is looking bad right now just because of that. These people have poor judgment that they continue to throw money after that. Throw money at a problem, causing a problem for someone else, and the result is sensitive information gets into the wrong hands. And then you go into court and you You claim that you don't like getting called names after you've caused extreme duress from the people calling you the names. And somebody said you can't put strain on other people and strain on their finances, strain on their relationships, and think they're not going to call you a name. And the guy goes, he actually went into court and said he was upset about being called a name. And he goes, yeah. And he goes, what'd she call him? A pussy. He goes, oh my God, what kind of man humiliates himself like that? He made himself weak. He is a pussy. I agree with it. That's exactly what he is. So what's he going to sue me too? Because I agree with her and I think he is a pussy. He's made himself weak. So any criminal organization, that's an opportunity. You got somebody who's weak. You got somebody who's stupid enough to continue to spend money, that the only thing that comes from that is sensitive information you don't want getting in the wrong hands. It's right to the wrong hands. I mean, this is we can take that apart. I'm fixing to own it. This company is unstable. They've got leadership that's poor judgment. You got a pussy running it. You got a delusional running it. I can take it over in a heartbeat. So he can go in. Is he going to sue me? You know, he made himself weak doing that. She's a woman. And you don't beat down women like her. You just don't. Well, you don't beat down women. He said that his type of business is typically not as involved in the sex trade business, because here's what he said. When you get into that kind of stuff, he goes, there's some limited that I'm in. It's very limited. Typically what I would do is go in and break apart whatever he has and get rid of that, because I'm going to tell you something. That attracts the perverts, and the perverts have no control over themselves. They will fuck everything up over that, you know what, every time. They're led around by that thing. They do things, make judgment calls on that, on male organ. I could say it. I've said it. I mean, I'm trying to be decent, but I mean, he said dick. They're led around by their dick. That's all they think about. So those kind of guys get themselves in a lot of trouble because they can't control themselves, and they make poor business decisions, and they're easy to you take them down. You can take that business down easy, because you've got people that are thinking. They're not thinking. They can't control some sort of weird urge, and that's typically what that kind of business attracts. It sounds like that's what this is you have some people with weird urges that have no control over those weird urges, and they're making decisions, and I'm quoting Judge Parker and Judge Egan, with their dick. I'm quoting him. He's making an observation as a businessman, and he's in some organized crime businessman, and he thinks Mr. Perry made himself weak, complaining that he's getting called a name. And so, I mean, that's Mr. Perry has to. They've got a couple of fronts they're fighting here. They've got law enforcement who keeps telling me everything they say, and to protect me, and to establish criminal intent, means rape, to establish a malicious aforethought and premeditation. We get this stuff beforehand, not after. We knew Michael Neely was drugged before anybody else said it. Right? The McNamara email, we know that you went to Judge Kirkendall, and she said, you got to leave her alone for a few weeks so that I can rule out entrapment or provocation, because it looks like you're harassing her, and you're in my courtroom complaining that she's harassing you when she complains about it. You can't put strain on somebody and think they're not going to call you a name, and do it maliciously and intentionally to upset them. And then when they call you a name, run into court and cry foul. And then you're also fighting now. You guys ran around going, I think it's a mafia, or one of a competing mafia after us. So we went with that. We were like, we can draw that out. We can fucking, let's draw that out. They asked for it. All they had to do is leave Cindy alone. Leave her the hell alone. Don't invade her privacy. Don't contact her. She's not to be broke. Get your fucking hands out of her wallet. Quit stealing her money. Sometimes they let me make enough money to pay for a hotel room. Almost never enough for the hotel room and food. It's either food or the hotel room, right? Yeah, and then my friends are all, well, I can tell you why she won't like you. That's not her thing. You should have met Saeed, how he treated her. And I was actually with Saeed. My family saw me with Saeed. Saeed never went to my family without me. We were always together. So yeah, my aunts, I guess one of my aunts is like, she's never with Charles. We've never seen them together. And she moved twice to get away from Charles, and she moved to Saeed. And they were always together. So I think that he's full of crap. Basically, the bottom line is, Mr. Perry's full of shit. So I don't know if there's a family fight or not. And then the guy goes, well, here's the other thing is, I guess some families were a little aggravated at Craig because right from the get-go, none of this would have happened had Craig sat her down and said, do you like him? No. Okay, well, he's calling here. He's coming around here. So together, let's get him on the phone. Let's put him on speakerphone. And it's a united front. Family's all together here. You need to leave us alone. All of us, leave us alone. And if you come around, we'll call the cops. You're not coming around our family anymore. She doesn't like you. Leave her alone. And he didn't. Dennis lost his house. They were upset because, well, Dennis wouldn't have lost his house. Mom wouldn't have been false arrested. That caused Dennis to lose his house. And then, smeared everywhere. Now Dennis has got to explain to his friends why Mom's mugshot's on the paper. And he knew all that time that Charles was threatening false arrest because I would tell him before I'd go to work. And he heard me freaking out talking to his dad. He's threatening to put me in jail for what? I don't like him. That's why he does shit like that. So, Dennis, I gotta go to work, and I could go to work and Charles have his guy kill me, or there's a false arrest and I don't see you. So I want you to know, every night before I went to work, we had that conversation. If Charles carries out his threat to false arrest me or kill me, then I want you to know I love you and call Craig. Every day we had that every time I went to work. Right as I was leaving, that's what I said. So my whole family knew I was getting that threat. I've got texts and emails to prove that. That's what the McNamara email is. I'm telling Mike's husband, he's threatening to false arrest me. I'm getting death threats. He makes himself weak when he goes into court and complained that after he did all that, she called him a pussy. And that's the crime. He made himself weak. So now you got him doing the math of your business. He's like, wow, the math of the business is important to me because the math of the business shows it's stable or not stable. And they have devalued themselves. Every time she quotes them, that means sensitive information got from inside their thing into the wrong hands, your hands and her hands. They're devalued at this point. Any other business person would not want to do business with a guy who's getting quoted by the police every day for 10 years. What day is there going to be an arrest and all the things bust? See, I don't want to get recorded talking to them. I don't want to be heat on me like it is on them. That's a problem business-wise, and a big one. So there's like 20 different things wrong here. Every time you guys do something to her, every time they do something to her, he said, and then they piss somebody off, infiltrators, leaks, whatever you guys have, or you, the information that's sensitive that you don't want in the wrong hands gets right to you. Every day. He was looking at some of my emails. He goes, my guy goes, I can show you, this is public. Some of it's on the court docket. This is public. So these I can show you, but let me tell you